Good morning. This is Petey Silvera with New Pathway to Healing. I have something that I wanted to share with you today. You know, so many of my clients do past life regressions with me, and they have for over the past 30 years. And I've seen some similarities for so many people that come in to see me and want a past life regression. One of the similarities that I've seen is that they go back to Nazi Germany. The lifetime just before this one for so many. I would say well over 100 at least. And it's not surprising because the trauma that was left from that lifetime is huge for people. All of the feelings that lie on their cell memories. So that is one similarity that I see. The other similarity of where people go in lifetimes is to Atlantis. And I will be sharing stories with you for another time. But one of my clients actually wrote her story out about her past life regression when she did. She's done quite a few, but this is her one story. And I thought this was just so interesting for anybody that's really interested in past lives and past life regression. This will just be fascinating. It's fascinating to me, and I did the regression for her. So let me read you what she wrote first, and then I'm going to tell you more about it. This is what she wrote. So when I was 16, I made my first trip to Europe. I lived with 2 different families in Finland, and then we toured around Europe. Our first stop was St. Petersburg, then Leningrad, and the wonderful palace of the Romanovs. After several days in St. Petersburg, we went on to Poland and then on to Berlin. In those days, Berlin was divided into East and West and separated by no man's land. Our first stop was East Berlin. The city was an interesting dichotomy. From the front, the buildings looked normal except for the shell holes still in the brick. However, turn the corner and many times there was no building at all. The city was still decimated from the Second World War, and this was the summer of 1969. For an American girl, this was a startling revelation. As I walked the streets of East Berlin, I had these weird feelings I had never experienced deja vu in any shape or form before. I was only 16, she says, for heaven's sakes. I had no idea what deja vu was, but I would walk the city and I had this eerie feeling that I had been there before. When I reached the square that Hitler gave his candlelight speeches from, the most awful feeling enveloped me. I started to hear the shouts of the people screaming Sieg Heil during the speech. And the shouting, the shouting was awful. All of a sudden, I felt myself hugging my arms to my chest to protect me from the evil that I felt was all around me. I was so freaked out, I had to leave the square. I didn't know what was happening to me. I ran around the corner and I came upon another bombed out building. And this was a synagogue. And though bombed, it was still in some sort of use. And I started to talk to a man who had just come out. And I learned that this was one of the places where they rounded the Jews up and took them off to the camps. It was another one of those moments in your life where you are confronted by such unmitigated evil that you just don't know what to do. I spoke with him for a few minutes and then I moved on. There was not much left of the Jewish population in Germany at that time. Soon thereafter, though, we went to Brandenburg Gate, which was quite beautiful. And then another weird experience happened. Crossing no man's land to Checkpoint Charlie and the American sector. Walking through that space between the two Berlins was so eerie and so strange. Fast forward to 2019 and a past life regression I had with Petey. I've done many, so many in fact, that I can't even remember all of the lives. I've had many interesting ones, but this one topped them all. The woman I was could not wait for me to get there. In the regression, so much that she actually came through the time continuum herself in hypnosis. As I was being regressed by Petey, her leg popped out and drew me in faster than was normal. And there I was in World War II Germany. However, we need to go back a little bit with the history of this person. I had forgotten her name, but she was a young girl in Madrid, Spain. Her parents were very wealthy and had many friends of great wealth, and many were Nazis. There was one in particular that fancied her, and her parents promised her to him. When the Allies bombed Spain, the parents were killed. I then married this very wealthy older man. I needed protection. I needed support. I didn't have any skills other than my social skills. My main pastime was shopping and lunching with friends. And once I married, he wouldn't allow me to go to school or to work or to see friends. I was only allowed to do what he wanted me to do. We moved to Berlin and started moving in the social circles of the Nazi elite. I hated this life. I hated it so much that I helped to save Jewish people under his Nazi nose. One of the evenings shown to me, though, was a formal one in which I was presented to Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun. To say this was one of the most horrifying experiences in my many lifetimes would be an understatement. He was the most creepy of creepy humans. I could not wait to get away from him and the whole event. I lived my life in a gilded cage, lots of beautiful jewelry. I now know where my love of jewelry comes from. Lots of beautiful clothes, and again, I do love expensive clothes. And I also lived in a very beautiful house in Berlin, filled to the brim with exquisite furniture and art. And in this life, I love all things beautiful, from furniture to art to jewels and clothes. Unfortunately, the rest of that life was horrible. I hated my husband and all of the people around me. I was not allowed to have friends, and so I was so very lonely. My life ended very young. I was killed during an American bombing raid on Berlin and buried under the rubble. I was apparently very happy to die just to get out of that lifetime. So when she and I did the healing at the end of that lifetime, she learned that the most profound impact that this lifetime had left in her cell memories was that she had a fear of marriage, which was true in this life, but mostly she thought she was a very bad person. This cell memory had my client spewing negative self-talk to herself 24/7. Now she learned she was not a bad person. She had married a bad person, though through no choice of her own. It was through the arranged marriage. And through the healing we did, she became free of the burden of guilt from that life. And she felt at peace for the first time in this lifetime. To me, that is just huge and pivotal work. This is just one of the stories from one client that I thought I would share so you could see the shifts for yourself that people can create through the reliving of some of these situations and lifetimes so we can erase those negative cell memories. I will be doing a group past life regression in my Soul Learner Jumpstart starting September 9th, so you too could have that experience of what it would feel like. Because I can teach you to become your own healer in a group past life regression. If you are interested and fascinated by these stories, which I mean all the time, my clients always say, tell me another story, tell me another example, because they are fascinating. I mean, truly, I am fascinated. When I took her to that space in that lifetime, and she got this look on her face in hypnosis, and I said, who do you see? And she says, I see Adolf Hitler. I mean, the goosebumps go up one arm, down the other, down my legs. I cannot tell you how many times this occurs in past life regressions. But if you love this story, if you would like to, at the bottom here, I'm going to put my email. And if you'd like to get on my email list, I am going to start sharing some more of these stories in my newsletters weekly, because people just find them fascinating. And I have regressed thousands of people at this point. So if this is resonating with you, if you would love some more information on this, just fill out the link at the bottom and you can read more about it. Until then, have a good week. Bye-bye.